President Trump was gifted a golden crown during bilateral talks with the president of South Korea. And the Texas Attorney General is suing the makers of Tylenol over unproven allegations that it increases the risk of autism and ADHD. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Hurricane Melissa continues to lose strength. It's still roaring over Cuba. The National Hurricane Center says Melissa now is a Category 2 storm and has top sustained winds of 105 miles per hour. It had top winds of 185 miles per hour when it crashed into Jamaica yesterday. Jamaican leaders say they're getting reports of incredible damage to infrastructure. President Trump says he hopes to reach an agreement in a meeting with China's leader tomorrow, despite current trade tensions. NPR's Anthony Kuhn reports Trump's in South Korea for bilateral meetings and a regional summit.
President Trump told a meeting of business executives he expected to reach a deal that would be good for both the U.S. and China. He told South Korean President Lee Jae-myung meeting China's leader Xi Jinping was the main focus of his visit to South Korea. But in the future, Trump said he would work to resolve the conflict between North and South Korea.
I know you are officially at war, but we will see what we can do to get that all straightened out.
Gyeongju is the capital of the Shilla Kingdom, which ruled much of the Korean peninsula over 1,000 years ago. President Lee gifted Trump a gold crown of the sort Shilla kings once wore. President Trump did not immediately try it on. Anthony Kuhn, NPR News, Gyeongju, South Korea.
It is quieter today in Gaza after intense Israeli attacks overnight. Officials in Gaza say the Israeli strikes killed more than 100 people. Of that number, 46 of them are children. NPR's Rob Schmitz reports from Tel Aviv. Israel says it has stopped the airstrikes and declares the ceasefire has resumed.
A spokesman for Gaza's civil defense called the attacks a humanitarian failure. In a statement, Israel's military said it had struck dozens of, quote, terror targets in the attack, including striking 30, quote, terrorists holding what it called command positions in terrorist organizations in Gaza. It went on to say it will uphold the ceasefire and will respond firmly to any violation of it. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the attacks after he accused Hamas of violating the ceasefire by killing an Israeli soldier in Israeli-held territory in Gaza, a charge Hamas denies. Netanyahu also accused Hamas of staging the discovery and return of partial remains of a deceased hostage. Rob Schmitz, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
A federal judge is ordering the senior Customs and Border Patrol agent, Gregory Bovino, to report to her every day. Bovino has been a public face of the Trump administration's deportation raids. From member station WBEZ in Chicago, Chip Mitchell has more.
A U.S. district judge here ordered Bovino back to her courtroom every evening at 6 over the next week. That's after his team used riot control weapons like tear gas in several instances against people who she said seemed to pose no immediate threat. The judge also ordered to turn over 8 weeks of use of force reports and body camera footage. Federal attorneys objected to all her orders, but the judge warned she didn't want to see any children tear gassed on Halloween. For NPR News, I'm Chip Mitchell in Chicago.
The federal government shutdown is now starting its 5th week. Most federal government workers are not getting paid. Republicans and Democrats in Congress need to agree on a spending bill before they can resolve the impasse. Tammy Norton works for the IRS in Dania Beach, Florida.
The Democrats against the Republicans, they're fighting against each other, but they're not thinking about us civilized Americans out here. They're not thinking about us and what we're going through.
Federal funding for programs such as Head Start and food assistance will dry up on Saturday. Democratic leaders in more than half of the states are suing the federal government over the suspension of the food assistance known as SNAP. More than 42 million Americans use SNAP benefits to obtain food. The Republican-led U.S. Senate has voted to block President Trump's emergency tariffs on Brazil. NPR's Claudia Grisales reports it's a rare bipartisan rebuke of the president.
5 Republicans joined Democrats to approve the measure, terminating Trump's use of an emergency provision earlier this year to place 50% tariffs on Brazilian goods. As he was leaving the Senate subway ahead of the vote, North Carolina's Tom Tillis said he was a yes because the tariffs are not tied to any business or trade reasons and hurt U.S. commerce.
I think in that case, I don't think there's a rational basis for it.
Trump triggered the Brazil tariffs to pressure the government to end a, quote, witch hunt against his far-right ally, former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. The Senate will take up similar measures focused on Canada and other countries later this week. Claudia Rizales, NPR News, the Capitol.
President Trump has fired multiple members of the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts. NPR's Elizabeth Blair says the commission reviews design proposals for monuments, memorials, coins, and federal buildings.
The U.S. Commission of Fine Arts is an independent agency that advises the president and Congress on design and architecture. As first reported by the Washington Post, the White House fired 6 commissioners. The chair position was vacant. The commissioners would have advised the president on the White House ballroom and his plans for a monument similar to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Architect Bruce Redmond Becker, one of the commissioners who was fired, tells NPR in an email neither project has been submitted for review yet. In 2021, President Biden fired 4 commissioners who'd been appointed by President Trump in his first term. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Elizabeth Blair, NPR News, Washington.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing the companies that make the pain reliever Tylenol. Paxton accused them of falsely marketing Tylenol to pregnant women as safe. He cites unproven allegations that it increases the risk of autism and ADHD. Paxton is echoing President Trump's unproven allegations, but physicians groups and scientists have pushed back on the stance, saying it is not supported by research and could have serious repercussions for women as well as for babies. The University of California, San Diego says a new manuscript has come to light by late children's author Dr. Seuss. It's called Sing, the 50 United States. Dr. Seuss's book will be published next year in time for the country's 250th birthday. The manuscript was found in the archives at UC San Diego, along with a cover sketch by Dr. Seuss. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.